Over 1 million cinema lovers have already subscribed to Film Companion. What are you waiting for? Hit the bell icon and join our film family.
Aside from being one of the only truly great Indian originals to come out of Disney Plus Hotstar, Arya is one of the best shows to come out of the Indian streaming space. A riveting blend of family and crime drama, the show is the official adaptation of Dutch show Penosa, which follows the story of a loving wife and mother who's forced to take over her family's drug empire when her husband is killed. Our adaptation, Arya, is a bloody gripping gangster drama that's based on a simple yet hauntingly powerful message that even in a world of drug lords and murder and ruthless gangsters, hell hath no fury like a mother's rage. As much as I love the show, I also love the story behind it. Arya is created by one of our finest filmmakers, Neerja director Ram Madhvani. But even more so, it saw the grand return of Sushmita Sen after 10 years away from Hindi cinema, delivering a career-best performance as a woman plunged into a violent world where she must survive, adapt and protect her family at all costs. And despite a truly excellent first season, everything about this story suggests that season 2 of a show like this should be even stronger. We've got Arya, the origin story. Now give me Arya, the ascension, Arya, the rise to power, Arya, the empire. Instead, we get a mixed, shaky second season, which is far less consistent and potent. In moments, it has every bit of the impact of its predecessor, but aside from that, much of this just feels like more of the same. That's not to say it's particularly poor storytelling, it's still fairly tight and mostly compelling, with similar twists, turns, thrills, and tension, but it just doesn't up the stakes and evolve and grow into something more than it already was. Season 2 sees Arya and her family thrown back into the middle of the crossfire of drug kingpins, the Russian mafia, and more. It's been a year and a half since the events of last season, we're told, and Arya and her 3 children have been abroad in witness protection. That is until she's forced to come back and testify against her family and face the consequences of her actions last time around. In the opening episode, we see her go for a run. It's an attempt to tell us that she's running away from her past and her enemies, and the inevitable. That is until during her run, she's shot in the arm. The past is here, and it's here to get her. And she realizes that running is no longer an option. It's time to face the music and the mobsters, and take them down one by one. Like this season lays on its metaphors thick. There's far more underlining and exposition and far less subtlety. And the writing by Sanyukta Chawla Sheikh and Anu Singh Chaudhary doesn't quite have the same bite this time. There are scenes where characters do things, and to underline why, we get flashbacks to things that have happened that same very episode, as if the makers just have less faith in us as an audience this time. While season 2 does get significantly better as it goes on, the opening episode is easily the toughest to stomach. We're literally thrown back into the proceedings, and not in a good way. It's disorienting and things just rush by with very little established. Not only do you barely get a sense of the 1 year that's supposedly passed, but the rushed pacing ensures that characters and scenes barely get a moment to breathe. My biggest issue with this season though is just how little has changed. The stakes and plot feel all too familiar. It's the same blurry blend of characters scrambling frantically against threats and bad guys and kidnapping and a race against time. So much so that there are sequences here that feel like they could have just as easily been from season 1 and you wouldn't even know the difference. As if to say that Arya isn't a show about the evolution of a character, but more about providing a distinctive, repetitive experience. And there are shows that are just like that, where they're not even about the story or the characters, but more about providing a specific kind of thrill. Shows like Stranger Things or closer to home, there's Inside Edge. But for me, Arya was never that. It was always about the journey of one hell of a character who you'd follow into war. The plot this time also seems to have a weird offense-defense problem. When it's convenient, Arya and her family are threatened and attacked and kidnapped, and when it's convenient, they're safe, secure, and protected. I found myself having to do a weird PhD deep dive analysis into each character's individual personal security, or lack of it. I think it's also because I still don't quite have a sense of this drug empire that Arya's family is supposed to have had or has. Still, that isn't to say that this season doesn't have its fair share of great moments. Like the first time you see Sikandar Khair's swagged up Daulat on screen. What an absolute beast. Or a bloody powerful moment in an episode later on where Arya is being threatened and interrogated by the police, where she almost quite literally flips on her interrogator. Or the haunting visual of her holding a gun to the heads of 2 young hostages to prove her might. Or pretty much the entirety of the phenomenal finale episode. And of course, Sushmita Sen remains every bit as brilliant, single-handedly uplifting even the shakiest moments, and expertly navigating the delicate balance of being the worried protective mother, along with being the woman whose own life is constantly at risk. Not to mention the blistering ferocity beneath. The other characters, however, aren't as enticing. Season 1, for example, did a far better job of balancing the crime drama with the lives of the 3 kids at home. But this time the show doesn't quite seem to know what to do with them. The only one that gets a real arc is her daughter Aru and her struggles with depression, which is easily the most shrill, overdone and distracting track of this season. Elsewhere, the impressive Vikas Khanna as ACP Khan continues to prove to be the perfect foil, as does the threatening Vishwajit Pradhan as Sampath. There's also a new cast addition this time with the wonderful Gitanjali Kulkarni, who unfortunately doesn't get much to do. It's also got to be said that season 2 has some serious dubbing issues. I get that this must have been shot under difficult conditions during the pandemic, but the sound work is jarring and attracts way too much attention to itself. That aside, the last leg of the season 2 finale is absolutely electrifying. It's everything I wanted from season 2. I just wish that there wasn't such a shaky, prolonged build-up to it. Those last few moments leave you buzzing and bouncing off the walls. My goosebumps had goosebumps. Arya is done running. She's here. She's arrived and she's in control. And God help anyone who dares to stand in her way. You can watch Arya on Disney Plus Hotstar.